Hey YouTube, this is a video on how to compost tea. So this is how I do it. So I went down to Kelly Moore paint shop, got these bags. These are paint strainer bags. And as you can see, I have it double bagged. This is worm castings, just from my local garden store. And I would show you the bag, but basically it is commercial worm castings. And I'm not sure exactly, I think it's probably better to use home worm castings if you can, but these are just from the store, and I'm assuming they have many of the same components that homemade worm castings would have. I think the biggest one is humic acid, and you can find humic acid in pretty much any soil, but worm castings have high levels of humic acid. And what it does is basically provides the environment for these bacteria that are on the worm castings to proliferate with the oxygen that's coming from this little marine pump, this aquarium pump. It's an 8 liter per minute aquarium pump, and I have it coming into these air stones. Got 2 of them in here, and basically this is 1/4-inch poly tubing. Very cheap. I think this whole setup was like $30. These bags were like $1 or 50 cents or something. Worm casting bag was not cheap, but you can make your own worm castings or get them locally. And basically you just you let the water oxygenate for a while. Like you don't put the worm castings in right away. You make sure that there's no chlorine in the water. And basically once I like to use the hose and like take my thumb on the hose and blow it off, and like use a lot of pressure and get a lot of bubbles going, because that blows off the chlorine. And I'm pretty impatient, so I just kind of go for it. I usually use the hose, get it in the bucket, blow it all off, run. Right now I just ran the bubbles for a little bit with no worm castings in it. I did it for like an hour, like 30 minutes or so. Kind of just got it prepped, and then got the worm castings in really gently. I try to like avoid getting particulates in there, because all this water is going to go through a sprayer at the end. So yeah, so kind of just gently massage it, and you could even put a little bit of brown sugar in here if you want to kind of speed up the process and give the bacteria more food. The idea is that the bacteria proliferate in the oxygenated water environment, and you're basically giving the plants a probiotic. These plants over here, a probiotic, by taking a sprayer, like a HDX sprayer. Let's see where we got. Yeah, just something like this. You can get them for like $10 at Home Depot. Pesticide sprayer is typically what it's used for. But you just pump it up, and then you want to spray the underside of the leaves during morning hours, preferably, or in the late afternoon. Late evening. And what it does is it basically inoculates the stomata of the leaves. So on the upper side of the leaf there is photosynthetic cells, but on the lower side they're breathing in carbon dioxide and breathing out oxygen. So when you're spraying, what I do is I spray underneath, or I spray on top. I just kind of drench it all, but I'll either try to get it into the soil, into the root zone, or underneath the leaf. And it's kind of like inoculating the belly of the leaf. Don't ask me why this is and why. I need to find out these mechanisms, but this is what I have learned online and growing myself, and it can be used for a variety of different concoctions. This is just one compost worm tea. It's good maybe to use, once every 3 days or so, just to kind of, you can just feed your plants with a foliar spray. And it's a really cheap, easy, fast, efficient way to fertilize your plants. So this has just been a little insight into my process. And once I spray it, this takes about 24 hours to peak. So you start it in the morning, come back the next morning, and you're good to go. And I'll just start another batch the next day, and then it'll be ready. Or I could do it the day after. But yeah, 24 to 36 hours is when the microbial colonies peak, and you're going to be spraying on the most beneficial bacteria onto your plants. So who knows, I'm not a scientist. Well, I am a scientist, but I don't have a proper lab microscope to determine the bacteria counts in here, but the idea is that they kick off a trophic level. Basically animals, small microorganisms eat the bacteria, and the exudates from them eating the bacteria, bacteria like food for the higher trophic organisms and the trophic levels of the microbiome of the plant itself. So you're basically feeding the trophic levels, which is creating a cascading effect. And really the plant food is like dead organisms, which is why when you till soil, you're killing all the organisms. The plants grow super well for 1 or 2 seasons, and then you have diminishing returns. So the idea is to recreate that process in a controlled way so that you're not disturbing the soil environment, and you're actually promoting a non-disturbed soil environment as a method for growing and building your soil year after year, rather than diminishing your foundation. So this has just been a little brief tutorial into my haphazard gardening adventures, and hope you're having a great day. All right, bye-bye.